Antes de leer este libro, quiero hacer una nota. Este libro trata el tema de cómo las personas sufren cuando una persona cercana decide quitarse la vida. El contenido que vamos a leer no debe ser tomado a la ligera. Si estás en una situación parecida o conoces de alguien que tenga intenciones de ir contra su vida, no dudes ni un segundo en pedir ayuda. Nadie está solo en este mundo. Todos podemos ayudar. Muy bien, hoy vamos a leer I Was Here de Gail Forman. Chapter 1. The day after Meg died, I received this letter. I regret to inform you that I have to take my own life. This decision has been a long time coming and was mine alone to take. I know it will cause you pain, and for that I am sorry. But please know that I needed to end my own pain. This has nothing to do with you and everything to do with me. It's not your fault, Meg. She emailed copies of the letter to her parents and to me, and to the Tacoma Police Department, along with another note informing them which motel she was at, which room she was in, what poison she has ingested, and how her body should be safely handled. On the pillow at the motel room was another note, instructing the maid to call the police and not touch her body, along with $50 tip. She sent the emails on a time delayed, so that she would be long gone by the time we received them. Of course, I didn't know any of that until later. So, when I first read Meg's email on the computer at our town public library, I thought it had to be some kind of joke, or an hoax. I called Meg. When she didn't answer, I called her parents. Did you get Meg's email? I asked them. What email? Chapter 2. There are memorial services. There are vigils. And then there are prayer circles. It gets hard to keep them straight. At the vigils you hold candles, but sometimes you do that at prayer circles. At the memorial services, people thought, what is there to say? It was bad enough she had to die, on purpose, but for subjecting me to all of this, I could kill her. Cody, are you ready? Tricia calls. It is late on a Thursday afternoon, and we are going to the 5th service in the past month. This one is candlelight vigil, I think. I emerged from my bedroom. My mother is sipping up the black cocktail dress she picked up from the Goodwill after Meg died. She's been using it as her funeral dress, but I'm sure that once this blows over, it go into rotation as the going out dress. She looks hot in it. Like so many people in town, murmuring becomes her. Why aren't you dressed? She asked. All my nice clothes are dirty. What night clothes? Fine. All my vaginal funeral clothes are dirty. Dirty never stopped you before? We glared at each other. When I was 8, Tricia announced I was old enough to do my own laundry. I hate doing laundry. You can see where this leads. I don't get why we have to go to another one, I say. Because the town needs to process. Cheese needs to process. The town needs to find another drama to distract itself with. There are 1,574 people in our town, according to the firing sign on the highway. 1,573, Meg said when she escaped to college in Tacoma on a full scholarship last fall. 1,772 when you come to Seattle and we get our apartment together, she added. It remains stuck at 1,573 now, and I suspect it'll stay there until someone else born or dies. Most people don't leave, even when Tammy Henthorne and Matt partner left their respective spouses to run off together. The gossip that was the hottest news before Meg. She moved to They moved to an RV park on the edge of town. Do I have to go? I am not sure why I bothered to ask her. Tricia is my mother, but she is not an authority in that way. I know I have to go. I know why. For Joe and Sue. They are my parents, or they were. I keep stumbling over the verb tenses. Do you see it's being someone's parents because they died? Because they died on purpose? Joe and Sue look blasted into heartbreak. The hollows under their eyes are so deep. I don't see how they are ever going away. And it's for them I find my least stinky dress and I put it on. I get ready to sing again. Amazing Grace. How vile the sound. Chapter 3. I have written 1,000 meta-elegies for Meg, imagining all the things I might say about her. Like how we met in the first week of kindergarten. She made me a picture of us, with both of our names, and some words I didn't understand because, unlike Meg, I couldn't yet read or write. It says best friends, she explained. And, like all things Meg wanted or predicted, it turned out to be true. I might talk about how I still have that picture. I keep it on a metal toolbox that houses all my most important things, and it is creased from age and multiple viewings. Or I might talk about how Meg knew things about people that they might not know themselves. She knew the precise number of times on a row everyone generally sneezed. There is a parent to it, apparently. I was 3, Scotty and Sue 4. Joe was 2, Meg was 5. Meg could also remember what you wore for every picture day, every Halloween. She was like the archives of my history, and also the creator of it too, because almost every one of those Halloweens was spent with her, usually in some costume she dreamed up. Or I might talk about Meg and her obsession with Firefly songs. It started in ninth grade, when she picked up a vinyl single by a hand called Heavens to Betsy. She dragged me back to her room and played me the scratchy record on that old turntable she bought at a church jumbo sales for $1 and reviewed herself with a little help with YouTube instructional videos. And you will never know how it feels to light up the sky. You will never know how it feels to be a firefly. Corinne Strucker sang in a voice so simultaneously strong and vulnerable that it seems almost inhuman. After the Heavens of Betsy discovery, Meg went on a mission to find every good Firefly song ever written. In true Megal fashion, within a few weeks she assembled an exhaustive list. Have you ever even seen a firefly? I asked her as she worked on her playlist. I knew she hadn't. Like me, Meg had never been east of the Rockies. I have time, she said, opening her arms as if to demonstrate just how much life there was out there waiting for her. Joe and Sue asked me to speak at the first service, the big one that should have been held in the Catholic church that Garcia had attended for years, but wasn't, because Father Grady thought a friend of the family was a rules man. He told Garcia that Meg had committed a cardinal sin, and therefore her soul wouldn't be admitted to heaven, nor her body to the Catholic cemetery. The last bit was theatrical. It took a while for the police to release her body. Apparently, the poem she used was rare. Thought anyone who knew Meg wouldn't be surprised by this. She never wore clothes from the chain store, always listening to bands no one else had heard of. Naturally, she found more obscure potion to swallow. So the casket everyone sobbed over at the first big services was empty, and there was no bridal. I overheard Meg's uncle Xavier tell his girlfriend that maybe it would be better if There never was one. No one knew what to write on the gravestone. Everything sounds like a reproach, he said. I tried to write an elegy for that service. I did. I pulled out the disc Meg had burned off Firefly song for inspiration. The third one up was Bishop, Ellen, track Fireflies. I don't know if I have ever really listened to the words before, because when I did now, they were like a smash from her grave. It says you can still forgive her, and she will forgive you back. But I don't know that I can, and I don't know that she did. I told Joe and Sue that I was sorry, that I couldn't give an elegy because I couldn't think anything to say. It was the first time that I've ever lied to them. Today's service is being held in the Rotary Club, so it's not one of the official religious services, though the speaker appears to be some kind of reverend. I am not sure where they keep coming from, all these speakers who didn't really know Meg. After it's over, Sue invites me for yet another reception at her house. I used to spend so much time at Meg's house that I could tell what kind of mood Sue was in by what I smelled when I walked through the door. Butter meant bacon, which meant she was melancholic and eating cheering. Spicy meant she was happy and making hot Mexican food for Joe, even though it hurt her stomach. Popcorn meant she was in bed in the dark, not cooking anything, and Meg and Scotty were left to their own devices, which meant a buffet of microwave snack foods. On those days, Joe would joke how lucky we kids were to get to pig out like this as he made his way upstairs to check on Sue. We all played along, but usually after the second or third microwave corn dog, you kinda wanted to throw up. I knew the Garcia so well that when I called that morning after getting my emails, I knew even though it was 11 o'clock on a Saturday, that Sue would be still in bed, but no sleeping. She said she never did learn to sleep in once her kids stopped waking up early. And Joe will have the coffee bird and the morning paper spread out of the kitchen table. Scotty will be watching cartoons constantly was one of the many things I love about Meg's house, so different from mine, where the earliest Trisha usually woke was noon. And some days you might find her powering bowls of cereal, and some days you might not find her at all. But now there's a different kind of constancy about the Garcia's household, one that is far less inviting. Still, when Sue asks me over, much I prefer to refuse the invitation, I don't. The crowd of cars outside the house is thinner than it was in the early days, when the whole town came on sympathy calls carrying Perex dishes. It was a little hard to take, all those casseroles and the "I am so sorry for your loss" that accompanied them, because elsewhere in town the gossip was flying. Didn't surprise me. Girl always hung her freak flag high. I heard people whispering in the Circle K. Meg and I both knew that some people say things like that about her. In our town she was like a rose blooming in the desert. It confused folks. But with her dead, this sentiment no longer felt like a badge of honor. And it wasn't just Meg they went after. At Trisha's bar, I overheard a couple of Tonys snapping about Sue. As a mother, I would know if my daughter was suicidal. This coming from the mother of Carrie Tarkington, who had slept with half of the school. I was to ask Mrs. Tarkington if, being all-knowing, she knew that, but then her friend replied, "Sue, are you joking? That woman is floating in space on a good day." And I felt sucker punched by the cruelty. "How would you feel if you just lost your child, you bitches?" I sneered. Trisha has to escort me home. After today's service, Trisha has to work, so she drops me off to the Garcias. I let myself in. Joe and Sue hug me tight, and for a moment longer that is comfortable. I know that they must take some solace in me being here, but I can hear Sue's silent questions when she looks at me, and I know that all the questions boil down to one. Did you know? I don't know what would be worse. If I did know, I didn't tell them, or the truth, which is that even though Meg was my best friend and I have told her everything there is to tell about me, and I assume she told the same, I have no idea, not a clue. This decision has been a long time coming, she wrote in her note. A long time coming? How long is that? Weeks, months? I haven't known Meg since kindergarten. We have been best friends, sister almost, ever since. How long had this decision been coming without her telling me? And more to the point, why didn't she tell me? After about 10 minutes of sitting in sad polite silence, Scotty, Meg's 10-year-old brother, comes up to me with their and now his dog, Samson, on a leash. Walkies, he says to me as much as to Samson. I nod and I stand up. Scotty seems to be the only one who retains any semblance for his former self, which is maybe because he is young. Thought he is not that young. He and Meg were close. When Sue would disappear into one of her moods and Joe would disappear to take care of her, Meg was the one to mother Scotty. It's late April, but no one has alerted the weather. The wind gets up fierce and cold with a mean grit. We walk toward the big empty field that everyone lets their dogs shit in it, and Scotty unleashes Samson. He bounces off, jubilant, happy in his kind of ignorance. How are you holding up, roared Mayor? I felt false, using the old Yocolo nickname and already know how he's doing. But with Meg no longer playing mother hen and Sue and Joe lost in their grief, someone has to at least ask. I am up to 11 sick of fine finger, he said. He shrugs. I get to play all I want now. A side benefit. And then I clump my hand over my mouth. My bitter gallows humor is not meant for public consumption. But Scotty let out a frog laugh. Way too old for his age. Ha, you're right. He stops and watches Samson sniff a collie butt. On the way home, Samson is straining at his leash because he knows food is next. Scotty asks me, you know what I don't get? And I think we're still talking about video games, so I am not prepared for what he says next. I don't get why she didn't send me that note too. Do you even have an email address? I asked. This was her reason. He rose his eyes. I am 10, not 2, and I have one since 3rd grade. Meg emailed me stuff all the time. Oh well, she probably wanted to spare you. For a second his eyes looked just as hollow out as his parents. Yeah, she spared me. Back at the house, the guests are leaving. I catch Sue dumping a tuna casserole into the garbage. She gives me a guilty look. When I go to hug her goodbye, she stops me. Can you stay? She asked me in that voice of hers, so quiet, so different from Meg's hollering one. Meg's voice that could make everyone do anything, anytime. Of course. She gestures toward the living room, where Joe is sitting on the couch, staring into space, ignoring Samson, who is begging at his feet for the extended dinner. In the faded twilight, I look at Joe. Meg took after him, with his dark Mexican looks. He seems like he's aged 1,000 years in the past month. Cody, he says, one word, and it's enough to make me cry. Hi, Joe. Sue wants to talk to you. We both do. My heart starts to hammer because I wonder if they're finally going to ask me if I knew anything. I have to answer some cursory question from the police when all this went down, but they had more to do with how Meg might have perceived the potion, and I have no idea about any of that except that if Meg wanted something, she usually found a way to it. After Meg died, I went and looked up all the suicide signs online. Meg didn't give me any of her prized possession. She didn't talk about killing herself. I mean, she used to say things like, "If Mr. Dobson gives us another pub quiz, I'm gonna shoot myself." But does that count? Sue sits down next to Joe on the warm couch. Then look at each other for a half of a second, but then it's like that hurts too much. Then turn to me, like I am Switzerland. Customs terms end next month, they tell me. I nod. University of Cascade is the prestigious private college where Meg got a scholarship. The plan had been for both of us to move to Seattle after high school graduation. We've been talking about this since 8th grade, both of us at the University of Washington, sharing a dorm room for the first 2 years, then living off campus for the duration. But then Meg had gotten this amazing full ride at Cascades, a way better package than what the UW offered. As for me, I got gotten into the UW but without scholarship of any kind. Trisha had made it pretty clear she couldn't help me. I finally got myself out of debt. So, in the end, I turned down the UW and decided to stay at home. The plan was to do 2 years at community college, then transfer to Seattle to be near Meg. Joe and Sue sit there quietly. I watch Sue pick at her nails. The cuticles are a complete mess. Finally, she looks up. The school has been very kind. They're offered to pack up her room and ship everything to us, but I can't bear strangers' hands touching her things. What about her roommates? Cascade is tiny and hardly has any dorms. Merrick lived off campus in a house share with some other students. Apparently, they have just locked up her room and left it like that. Her rent's paid through the end of the term, but now we should empty it out and bring everything. Her voice catches. Home. Joe finished it for her. It takes me a second to realize what they want. What they're asking me. And at first, I am relieved because it meant I don't have to feed up that I didn't know what Meg was contemplating. That the one time in her life she might needed me, I felt her. But then the weight of what they are asking me skies and crashes in my stomach, which is easy to say I won't do it. I will, of course I will. You want me to pack up her things? I said. They nod. I nod back. Is the least I can do. After your classes end, of course, Sue says. Officially, my classes ended next month. Unofficially, they did the day I got Meg's email. I have got F's now, or incomplete. The distinction hardly seems to matter. And if you can get the time of work, this is from Joe. He said it respectfully, as if I have an important job. I clean houses. The people I work for, like everyone in this town, know about Meg, and they have all been very nice, telling me to take all the time I needed. But emptying hours to complete Meg's aren't what I need. I can go whenever, I said. Tomorrow if you want. She didn't have very much. You can take the car, Joe said. Joe and Sue have one car, and it's like a NASA expedition how they plot out their days so Sue can drop Joe off to work and get escorted to school and get herself to work and then scoot them back up again at the end of the day. On the weekends, it's more of the same, doing the grocery shopping and all the errands. There are no time during the week. I don't have a car. Occasionally, very occasionally, Tricia lets me use hers. Why don't I take the bus? She doesn't have that much, didn't? Joe and Sue looked relieved. We'll pay for your bus tickets. You can ship any extra boxes USP, Joe says. And you don't have to bring everything back, Sue passes. Just the important things. I nod. They look so grateful that I have to look away. That trip is nothing, a 3-day errand. A day to get there, a day to pack, a day to get home. It's the kind of thing Meg will offer to do without having to be asked first.